close by, don't get too anxious, just we've talked about the idea of activating the stable space as kind of a pop-up cafe or pop-up tavern, on Thursday, Friday, Sundays when we don't have somebody who has reserved the space for a paid event. We could have vendors come out from 5 to 9 or something like that, serve pre-packaged sandwiches, and have a beer truck or a wine caterer, and those folks would get to charge people, anybody in the community to go out there, spend an hour, hour and a half, themselves a sandwich, get themselves a glass of wine, and it's a way to both generate some revenue for the town from the vendors, but also generate foot traffic and interest in the property from people who haven't been exposed to it yet. We also work with a group called the Power Success Corps. Town and PHI jointly agreed to hire them to help us to determine, one, is this feasible? Is doing this kind of activity on the site something the town should be invested in? And the report back to us was yes, it is. They've also begun to work with the PHI board on developing a marketing plan for them as they kind of pivot to their next major role, which is going to be the fundraise, the capital campaign to fix the property or take it to the next level. The business plan here tonight is about making sure we can use the space as it is. It isn't about really adding new entrances or making the whole building handicap accessible or changing us. Yes.
Sorry, I showed up a little late.
Yeah, see that? That's okay. I appreciate you coming. We were only into it for about 10 minutes. So
yeah, I thought it was at 7. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's okay.
I just need you to talk into a microphone.
You do. Okay. Normally I'm told that I'm loud enough, but I will try to fix that. Thank you. It's going to feel a little awkward sitting here, so I'm standing here holding this, but I'll try to do it like this. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So for the folks who are just joining us from home, sorry we got a little early start, I guess. Somebody want to remind me where I was? We were talking about the Empower Success Corps. Thank you very much. Empower Success Corps met with the Patton Homestead. They met with other folks across the region who operate similar facilities. They met with the kind of core constituencies that the town feels, the town and PHI board feel would be interested in using the property outside of community residents. That would be veterans groups, that would be brides, that would be, high school reunion, the people who coordinate high school reunions and things like that, caterers. And what they found was that there is a market for this kind of a facility, that it is something that could draw interest into the property. And beyond that, the military community has a huge interest in this, and that helps us out because it gives us, something that's distinctive from what other facilities like this have to offer. So with that in mind, they met again with the Empower Success Corps to start to develop a marketing plan, and how do we present ourselves in the marketplace to attract folks who want to come and rent it. For me, as the town manager, it's also about how do we present the Patton Homestead to the community in ways that they want to take advantage of being there, in ways that they can understand the value of having it as an asset and a resource to the town. I mentioned earlier that the Hamilton Historical Society is moving out there. And we did this for a couple of reasons. One of them was self-serving. Having that building largely vacant with just the one museum in the south wing meant that we were paying a premium on insuring the building every year. Something on the order of around $7,000 a year just to insure the Patton Homestead. If I can get the building to be, roughly 60% occupied, well, all of a sudden I can put that on our regular liability insurance, and that cuts $7,000 right out of our costs. The Hamilton Historical Society is going to operate in the north wing of the building, and with Kaylee in the center and being able to rent it out, we basically have the entire first floor covered. That gets us to about our 60%. I have to invite the folks from Maya out once everybody's settled, show them how nice the place looks, and get them to agree to change our insurance. But it was also designed or made the decision to move those folks out there because I think it'll be better for them in the long run. Currently, the space that they had here in the basement of Town Hall, it's not appropriate for that kind of use. It's in a dirty basement. We're asking volunteers to spend their time, sorting through things in a dank, occasionally damp basement, going up and down a flight of stairs. There's no elevator access. They were out of sight and out of mind, I think, for a lot of folks in town. Yes, Asbury Street's a little bit out there. It's not on Bay Road, but you can drive right by. You can drive right up next to the building, walk into their wing of the building, and see their collection. I hope that this will help them grow their membership, grow their volunteer base, and raise their exposure in the community, so the people know that they're there and they know what they're doing. They have a lot of amazing stuff. So once they're all settled in, Ray and Kaylee and I are going to plan a little open house out there so people can come out, see the beautiful stuff the Historical Society has there, and hopefully they'll get some members out of it too. As you can see, you know, there's some great facilities. We've had weddings and events there already. The Patton family borrowed the property last fall for Ben Patton to have his wedding. We've got some, you know, feedback from the caterers who worked that event. It went off without a hitch. They immediately asked us afterwards, when can we come back out here? Can we start bringing other people out here to start to rent this space? So we have some excitement. We have some anecdotal evidence and the Empower Success Scores report to back our contention that this is something that can be doable. Let's go to the next slide. Now we start to get into the business plan numbers. So talked about a number of different types of uses, how to rent the property. One thing I should tell you too is that the Empower Success Score did recommend some pricing that was reviewed by the PHI and modified and submitted to us as recommended pricing for how to rent the spaces in different days of the week and things. Kaylee, after she came on board, she and I sat down and we went through that recommendation. We made some other tweaks to it. One of the concerns was that we got you know, pricing structure that was maybe would have been a little bit hard for a regular person to look at and say, oh, so how much is it going to cost me? They'd be looking at a sheet that had 5 or 6 different price points based on the day of the week, the time of day. And so we simplified it a little bit. And based on that, if you look at the different types of events that we talked about, I'll walk away from my microphone, sorry. If you look at some of the different types of events that we've talked about, the top line says Saturday outdoor weddings. Well, if we got those at 8 hours at a rate of $350 an hour, that would get us $2,800 every time we did a Saturday wedding. So if we wanted to make this year's goal of $30,000 in revenue, we'd need to do 11 Saturday weddings. Luckily, we're not planning to do just weddings and just Saturdays. We also talked about the idea of the pop-up pubs. We have ideas for 2-hour speaker programs. Lots of other things that are earlier in their development, but field trips where we, you know, could charge a couple dollars per kid if a school brings 50 kids out and walks them through the archives. Those generate varying amounts of money. So if we're doing a midweek meeting, we need to do 100 of them in the year, but only if we're only focusing on those. So the business plan is designed to offer us different combinations. So these are 4 ideas of combinations. So if we got 12 pop-up pubs, 6 Saturday weddings, 12 lectures, and 1 Sunday wedding in 1 year, that'd give us $31,000 in this year, and that means that we'd make our goal. We kind of believe that by having that varied approach to marketing the place, being open to bringing in different uses at different days and times, gives us a better chance for success. The next line down says you do 12 midweek daytime meetings, 6 weddings, 3 Friday night weddings, and 12 lectures, and you get to $30,000. So we don't have to succeed in any one area only. We can have measured success in a number of different categories and still get to the desired result at the end of the year. One of the things the business plan contains too is what we're describing as decision points. It's April now. We'll be starting up as soon as we can. We're already meeting with caterers and preparing RFPs to be able to allow people to use the property as caterers. That'll take a couple weeks, months to get going, but we hope to be able to start renting the place out in full by mid-June at the latest. So at the end of August, we'll be able to take a look at 2 months worth of activity and say, okay, are we on target? What can we do differently to start to get on target? We'll do that again at the end of November as we head into the winter and we're out of the best weather. We'll need to focus on heading into the winter, what can we do to activate the interior of the property, do some more of those speaker events, or have some more school trips where the kids can come in, make up some of that. And will also give us a time at the end of November to say, okay, now we've got almost 6 months of data to look at over the summer. What can we do differently before next spring so that we're ready to hit the ground running in April, May? And if there's any kind of an opportunity to make up, we can still get to our 30,000 by June 30th. So, you know, when we look at $30,000, we're talking about $30,000 from July 1st to June 30th. And we've given ourselves points along the calendar to make sure that we're analyzing our success, figure out what it is we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and move in a way to get us to our goal at the end of the year. So I just talked about those, but I got ahead of the slides, sorry. Another thing that we're talking about is grant opportunities. Up here are about 8 different grant opportunities that we've already identified. Some of these we've already applied for. I believe the MCC grant is already up here. The local Hamilton Council, Cultural Council has already awarded us grant to do an event this year that'll help us do an event and not cost the taxpayers money directly. So these are different grants that we're going to be applying for over the course of the year. Some will be higher priority because of, you know, our likelihood of success, and others will still we will still go after, but we will target the ones that are A, first on the calendar, and B, have the greatest chance of success in this year. And so the goal here, as I said at the beginning, is always to make the property successful. Everybody, that means something different for everybody. Veterans groups see it as a success if they're able to come out there and utilize the facility in ways that help them connect to their past and what they feel was their service to our country. Residents in town, I think, largely will feel that it is, a success if we start to cover some of our own costs and are building a direct path towards self-sustainability. And for me, it is activating the site in a way that people feel like it is a resource for them. The one thing about the Patton Homestead that drew me when I first got hired here is nobody else has one. Other people have private properties that they rent out. Danvers has a whole barn they're getting ready to do. There's the Stevens Estate everybody talks about in North Andover. Nobody else has the home of record of a World War II general. And as we're trying to find ways to help make Hamilton more successful, we need to find ways to bring people in. And that is a differentiating characteristic that nobody else has that we can take advantage of. And so my goal is to make it a success, partly because the Board of Selectmen gave me a goal for this year to make it more successful, but partly because if we can make the homestead a success, we can make the entire town a success. It will draw people to us. It will help our business district. It will help people think of Hamilton in a different way than they currently do. So I want to let Kaylee come up here. She was more prepared than I am. You can see I'm obviously prepared to go off the cuff. I'm happy to let Kaylee talk to you a little bit about her vision and goals for the facility, and have you guys ask us any questions you have.
So thank you, everybody. I just came up with a few things that I wanted to share with you that I've been working on since I was hired 6 weeks ago today. So in addition to the Hamilton Historical Society moved in yesterday, and the Wenham Museum's archives of the Patton family archives are in the other wing of the house. I've been working closely with the PHI, the Patton Homestead Inc. volunteer board, to get events going and to work on some funding opportunities. So one of the things I came up with this afternoon was a list of all of the events that are already on the calendar and scheduled to happen within the next few months. We have a D-Day event that's going on in conjunction with PHI, the Council on Aging, and other community partners from June 1st through the 6th. There's a Military History Day with the Wenham Museum, the American Legion, and other community partners on July 13th. The West Point Alumni Association New England chapter is holding their reunion picnic in July. The Military Officers Association of America, Paul Revere chapter, is holding a picnic in May. We're having a kite flying festival in conjunction with Kites Over New England and the Rec Department on September 22nd. And I just booked a wedding yesterday for a couple for June of 2020. There's also a few things that I don't have set dates for, but we have been, I've been talking to community partners and individuals about getting something going. So I've met with the Accord Food Pantry about hosting an event at the site, doing a joint adventure with the community house. I have a second wedding that I haven't yet met with the bride, but it's on my schedule. Other programming partnerships with the Council on Aging, and Veterans Day event with PHI. And I've been here for 6 weeks, and I haven't even started advertising yet. There's a lot of interest already in the property. The way that I see it breaking down is that it comes down to 3 types of events. There's public use, there's public programming, and then there's private events. And the public use, you've seen in some of the pictures, you have access to this platform that goes out over the Ipswich River for birding or picnics or whatever you want to do out there. There's the dock to put your kayaks and your canoes in once the weather gets warmer. We had snowshoers and cross-country skiers this winter that I could see the tracks getting laid out every time I came in on Monday. Somebody else had been there over the weekend. It's a place to throw a frisbee around, walk the dog, go for a jog. There's lots of opportunity to just do it on your own schedule without us having to tell you what to do. But we also have ideas for public programming, things where we will create an event and say, hey, come on over, we've got something going on. That's the Kite Flying Festival, that's the D-Day Fest, a few other events that we have ideas for, and I'm still collecting any ideas from anybody. I have an ongoing list that I've been putting everything into. And the third one is the private events. And these are the things that are going to bring in revenue so that we can put on the public programming. So these are the weddings. This is business groups coming in and scheduling a meeting within the space, holding a mixer. Whatever you would rent another facility for, we can probably do it. We've got the indoor house. We have 23 acres outside, and we have the stables, which right now barns are super trendy for just about everything, weddings and all sorts of other events. So we're really lucky that we have this diversity of opportunity that we can put different groups in different spaces and really just bring some activity and some life to the Patton Homestead. And that's what I'm most excited about doing with all of your help. Thank you.
Just make a quick note that the June 2020 wedding is in the FY20 fiscal year, so that will count for FY20's budget goal. So that's good news for that's 3,000 out of 30. We've already got it, and we haven't even opened the doors yet. So I'm happy to hear that. Happy to take questions. Yeah.
Is there a place where all these events are listed? Is there someplace on a website so you know what's coming up?
So I just got an introduction on how to update the town's website, and the page for PHI doesn't have a calendar page on it yet, but I'm going to get a list or a calendar for that. In the meantime, I'll add it to the main calendar on the town's event page.
Barb's here from the Patton Ridge, which is our neighbor and our friend. And I do want to say that I plan to reach out to you before we, start the pop-up pubs. That we want to make sure that our closest neighbors here in Hamilton understand what we're trying to do and get your feedback on it, because people can sometimes hear, oh, there's going to be a pub on my street. Some people are going to think that's really cool. Some people are going to think, oh my God, the noise. Well, it's not meant at all to, be detrimental to the neighborhood. It's not meant to make anybody upset. It's meant as a kind of a nice place to, I think Appleton Farms does this on an occasional basis. Kind of stole the idea. The idea being that it brings foot traffic, people who wouldn't otherwise have a reason to go to the site, go to the facility, and see it and understand it, and then they might have ideas to do things, or might tell somebody about it, and might bring other foot traffic to the place that helps us all. So we've been talking in broad strokes around, a 4 to 5, either 4 to 9 or 5 to 9 type of thing on late end of the week, and having everybody out of there by 9. And I guarantee you, if we get the permission and we get the green light to go forward with that, I'll have the police running up there at 9 o'clock. Okay, guys, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah, keep moving. All right, promise. Yes, sir.
I was curious. So the barn is one, and it could be rented.
Yep.
Separately from the homestead.
Yeah. So they're very different buildings, and they present somewhat different challenges. The Homestead, as it currently is, as it currently stands, we could have up to 49 people inside of it. The septic system isn't built out to handle a crowd that large, so we need, for anything we do on the site, we're going to, for the time being, need to have people rent porta potties, or if it's a town that's doing the event, the Homestead will rent the porta potties. It's not the most attractive option, but it's a way to be able to use the facility. More than 49 can't go in the building at one time because the doors don't open the right way. It doesn't have a sprinkler system yet, and those are all things that will come as part of the capital campaign that PHI is focusing on. There are plans to improve the facility, but not on the taxpayer's dollar. The plans for the big capital program will be fundraised. It will be a group effort. The town is behind it, but people don't like to give money to municipalities. I don't know if you knew that. They prefer to give them to a nonprofit. So PHI is our partner in this. They do the fundraising for the capital campaign and then work with us to implement it. So.
So if you wanted to rent the barn or the field,
Yep.
you can.
Yep.
You're on your own to bring the porta potty.
We're not completely on your own. We will be able to put people in touch with vendors that do that and give you, provide you the pricing. We made sure to price the property in a way that would be competitive with other more established facilities that already have those things. So we know coming in, anybody that comes is going to have to rent porta potties, is going to have to find their caterer. So I can't charge the same that Willowdale does, right? Because that's a one-stop shop. Book at Willowdale and they take care of everything else for you. Well, you're going to have to be on your own to figure out some of that stuff. We'll work with you. We'll cooperate with you. So since you're going to be adding those expenses, we'll rent our facility at a little bit more reasonable, or a little bit more competitive rate. Yes, sir.
How much of this presentation will you be making at town?
As much as Mr. Mealig will let me.
So you probably have 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I went about 20. So I got some stuff to cut down. I know. But I'm going to talk for 3 minutes, and Kaylee's going to talk for 3 minutes, and then hopefully somebody from PHI will talk for 3 minutes. So then we'll be a little closer to, having all the information out.
You'll be able to chop it up and achieve the same thing. One just sort of suggestion is, at the beginning, it would be helpful in context as to what makes this, where did this property come from, and why does it make it a unique property? I think many people will know that, but I think many people won't know that, or they'll know pieces of it. So, you came in at somewhere 2/3, 3/4 in and said, one of the things that makes this property unique is, this is the home of record for probably the most famous World War II general in history. Because if you ask the average person, name the World War II general, that's the name they're going to come up with. So I think it would help in terms of just a quick, we got this property from, it's a gift, it's 23 acres, it's a 1726 or whatever year it is. Just a quick 30-second overview and what makes it unique, and then launch into it, rather than sort of here's the business plan.
Fair enough, and certainly I don't want to focus just on the business. I want folks at town meeting to know that we have a business plan, but the fact is, what I'm at town meeting for is asking them for $86,000, and so I need to explain to them what it is we're going to do with the $86,000 and why we need it. And so I point well taken. I'll try to do a little bit better on the history at the beginning and concisely, and then get into what it is that we're trying to do out there.
I don't have a question, but I did want to share that I've already taken advantage of the canoe launch.
Awesome.
And,
That's great.
Yeah, I wrote into, I came across the Patton Homestead website about 4 weeks ago, saw where they advertised that it offers you free public access to the river in Hamilton. Wrote in, and I think Corinne wrote back saying that she would put me in touch with you. And
Nice to meet you.
I got to meet, I think, Mark Shaw as well, and so it was wonderful. It was a solid win, and it saved me a lot of time. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Good.
So here's one guy who considers access to the river very important. I think it's a high value.
Tell all your friends.
Did you take any pictures?
I was too chicken to bring my camera.
Okay.
Well, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah.
I'm familiar with the access you're talking about. This is a different, this is the birding,
That's the birding facility that's also out there, yeah.
the other side of the residential.
Yeah, it juts out into the water a little bit more, so you can walk out in there, and it's, there's the boat facility.
Where is effectively, where's the parking if you were to drive down, access that?
So, I mean, there's no established parking, but it's all grass back there. You could park your car and go out birding out there for a little while. I don't think, we got a problem with that. I would prefer to leave that, if you don't mind hoofing it from the parking lot out by Asbury Street, if you're just going out to walk out and look at the birds. If you're carrying a canoe or a kayak, I could understand you pulling a little closer. And try to be careful in mucky weather because tire tracks are tough to fix, but.
Your access is off that parking lot.
Yeah, you can walk straight down from the parking lot over the grass to get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a path that goes from Asbury Street on the other side of Patton Ridge that follows around the backside of our property at Patton Homestead, and it comes back around at the backside of the stables. So there is a dirt path that way.
Anybody else got questions? I got the room till 8.
You had mentioned that the weddings were going to be outdoor events, presumably because of the limitations on.
Yeah, unless you have somebody who's getting married with less than 49 people at the party.
Pretty small ones. So what are the hours that you're saying is available for people when they have weddings there?
I did give her. So I met with the couple yesterday, and I told him that they were the first couple that I've talked to, and I didn't have a lot of the information for them yet, but that we would work it out with them,
And-
knowing that we were very close to a residential neighborhood, and that the time for cutoff of music and everything was going to be fairly early on that. But I didn't give them a set time yet.
So, we'll again. That's something else we can talk about with the neighborhood and see if if we're trying to keep the pubs to 9 o'clock. Maybe you can give us till 10 on a Saturday wedding, but we'll tell them to turn off the music by 9:30, and that'll give them a half hour, 40 minutes to clean up and get out of there. But yeah, I know it's quiet out there at nighttime, even if they've turned off the music. But there's people down there talking. You're probably going to hear them, right? But we want to be sensitive to the neighborhood. You guys are there. You deserve to be treated with that respect. So we'll work on it with you and make sure that whatever gets in down there is respectful of the fact that there's people living close by. So.
Are you referring to the dirt road that goes down that kind of property?
I think that, yeah.
Yes.
Is that part of the Hamilton property or is that part of the
It's
Town-owned property. We actually own the road that goes from the side of our stable, the opposite side of the stable, all the way down and around. Part of it does traverse the Patton property, but they haven't had a problem with us utilizing it. So
So are you not directing people to the parking space that is before the patent?
yes, mostly I want you to park there. But if you have a canoe or kayak, I could understand why you might want to drive down and drop off your kayak rather than hoof it all the way across 20 acres. And at the gravel parking lot that was established, yes. Before the Patton, right. No, after Patton Ridge and between them. It's between Patton Ridge and the entrance to the property.
No, I'm talking about the old well.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
That's where people traditionally park. You can get about 5 to 6 cars in there.
to go in there. I'm not telling the,
Much shorter walk.
Is that still patent property, that pathway to down by the well?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know who owns that property.
down by the well is town property. I haven't been there yet because it's been really snowy since I started.
You
So,
used to be able to drive all the way down.
so I know that I've seen on satellite pictures that it does go all the way around. I just don't know how many parking spaces are there.
It's a wonderful access point because it's less than half the distance to get to the dock.
Mhm.
And anybody's carrying a canoe, that's the way they should go.
And you said there's 5 or 6 parking spaces there?
Give or take. It's
Okay.
not a big space there. There's a small outbuilding. I think it was probably a little bit of tile, about less than anything else. But it's something I think the town, should take a look at.
Yeah.
Should we put a sign,
Sure.
here, or maybe put some gravel down and define the
I'll talk to Tim and see what's possible there. Yeah, we can, as long as we own it, we can direct people with canoes and kayaks to go there. Yeah. I knew there was an access road down to the well there, but I didn't think of it as access to the river, so thanks. Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Good. Good to see you again.
The swimming pool that's there, do you have any plans to, I know that would have to be rehabbed or something?
It's filled in now.
Yeah,
It's gone.
The
It's
pool,
gone. There's
the
no pool
pool's
there
not there
now.
anymore.
What's that?
Pool.
It's gone?
Yeah.
Oh, so you made a decision on it.
It was.
Yes.
I remember using it when the Pattons lived.
The decision was made before I was there. that pool's been gone since before I was here. So, how about anybody else? Anybody? Jeff, you got a question? You satisfied? Did we do good enough for work? All right. That's good.
Is there any thought of activating the pond that exists back there? Is that pond part of your?
So it's conservation land. I mean, that's under the care and custody of the Hamilton Conservation Commission, and I know they've been working with the folks at the Ridge to try to make sure that that's maintained in a natural state. I mean, you want to go down and set up a blanket when the mosquitoes aren't biting, by all means, set up a picnic blanket. I don't think we're gonna have boat races in there or anything though. No, I'm thinking like the little toy motorboat races. Those would be kind of cool, but I don't think the Conservation Commission would be thrilled with that. Yeah. No. Maybe out on the river.
Just one comment, in where you were noting funds or grants that have been dedicated. I didn't see the $750,000 that was appropriated,
was potential grants. So some of them we had applied for, but a lot of them we had not. So it wasn't a comprehensive list of where we already applied.
at the beginning where you were listing monies that were borrowed.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, so the state's use of
Capital fund.
their bond bills. I don't hang my hat on them until the bond gets funded. The state voted to have an item in a bond bill last year. They still haven't funded it. The previous Secretary of Housing and Economic Development said it might be something that he would consider, but there was a lot of work to be done. We've done a lot of that work, but now he's the previous Housing and Economic Development Secretary, so we need to meet the new one and see what he thinks. So, I'll pursue anything. They put it there. I'll pursue it.
Not pursue, but note that those are funds that have been approved by the legislature and bond bill signed by the government.
Right, but until ANF's, yeah, okay.
Be appropriate,
Yeah.
but it's a commitment that was made by the legislature and signed on by the government.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's just a matter of when that's going to come. And so it's a commitment that was made. Will they fulfill it? We don't know. It's something that was made that
Right.
has been authorized and spent.
Yes, and it's something that I'll continue to work with with our legislative representatives to try to get it unlocked. But, for the purposes of this presentation of the town meeting, I just want to focus on the things that we can deliver. And I know I can deliver this business plan if they give me the chance to, give us the chance to. Yeah.
I'd read maybe 6 months ago about that Danvers barn that you.
Yep.
Yeah. Got attention recently what you have.
Yep.
They seem to have gotten the mass use.
They got a MassWorks grant of over $1 million, but they've been at it for about 7 years. They've owned that property, but have been actively trying for that money for 7 years. So a number of different attempts in different formats and different ways, and I know we've owned this property for 7 years. I've been told that several times. But the level of effort that Danvers made to activate that property 7 years ago is kind of where we're at now. So we're trying to get there.
So might you pursue something like that for that?
Yes, I will continue to pursue something like that. The problem with MassWorks, and one of the things you have to think about with MassWorks grants, largely MassWorks are infrastructure grants. They generally go to communities, and we're currently under Governor Baker, and the way it's been set up, under Governor Baker is that those grants go to projects that produce one of two things: workforce housing or jobs. Our project does neither of those things. It helps that the previous Secretary of Housing and Economic Development lived in Danvers. That might have had something to do with them getting a MassWorks grant. And the governor's chief of staff lives in Danvers, so that might, and they were at it for 7 years. So before those two guys were in those roles. The important thing is that we need to, kind of show the value of it and show that it can be an economic driver for our community. And when we show that value, we can get them to invest in us. The problem for a community like Hamilton, when you talk about MassWorks, and I'll be honest with you, Hamilton hasn't had a MassWorks grant in a long time, so we're kind of about due. But we should make sure as a community we put forward the right project, because once we get one, we probably won't get another one for 20 years. So I don't want to tell everybody, MassWorks is this big sum of money. If you're Haverhill and trying to develop 4,000 units of housing and bring new jobs to town, yeah, you'll get MassWorks money every year. But if you're Hamilton, you're probably not going to be in that line very often. So I want to make sure whatever project we go for with a MassWorks grant, it's the right project for the town. So yes, I'll pursue MassWorks money in a lot of places. Yes?
I'd also like to add that there has been concern that we've had this property for 6 years. But I would like to remind people that the Thoreau Farm Trust, which is a partnership between the town and the town of Concord and a private foundation, has taken almost 10 years from the time that the project was first conceived of to having it open just, I think, 3 months ago. So these things take time to come to fruition, and we now we're really building the momentum with the new town manager and with the new executive director and the new, a lot of additions to our board of directors. So I'm absolutely confident that we can make this happen.
I think to get to the big vision, the capital project and enhanced uses, bigger parties indoors and everything else, all the handicapped accessibility and life safety improvements to the homestead itself, that will take a number of years longer. I do think that in a shorter term, we can realize some significant improvements in the way we treat that homestead and the way it treats us back. And that's immediately what I'm focused on right now. We need to get the property working. And once we get the property working, it'll make your jobs on the PHI board a lot easier, fundraising for the property, and then we can be off and running from there. But we need to get this property working this year, and I do need folks to support our request at town meeting, because look how much he's done in 6 weeks. Let's see what happens if we give her a whole year. Okay. Yes, right. It has been sent to them. And I'm sensitive to that. They asked us in November for this, or October for this, when they gave us the money to hire Kaylee. Unfortunately, the process that led us to Kaylee took longer than we wanted it to. But in that, you didn't want to develop a plan without having the person that was going to implement it. So we have the person that we want to implement it. We have the plan. We have our decision points on how to pivot and make changes. So I hope that we're given the opportunity to pursue that plan. Yes.
This wasn't passed on meeting was
I go home and cry first. So the immediate thing is that I have from now till June 30th to figure that out, because we have funding to get us through the end of the fiscal year, and then from there we'll try to figure out what we can do. We've got a plan. We've got things that we can do. I've got folks lined up and ready to start doing them. So we'll see what I can come up with before June 30th. But there isn't a good fallback option.
You can also point out that the income from taxes of Matlin property is more than what you're requesting.
That's true. That's true.
As a general.
Yep.
So that people don't feel like they're losing money on the homestead.
Right.
When I look at the warrant article and what the tax burden would be, granted, mine's a small house on Lincoln Avenue, than the cost of like a Maxwell house, like a cup of coffee per month. I get year-round access to the river. This is like, in terms of bang for buck, I wish more questions could be answered so easily.
Appreciate your enthusiasm. Remember, town meeting is April 6th. Well, I kind of feel like I'm speaking to the converted tonight, so that makes me feel good. I hope it goes this well at town meeting. Yes, sir.
This is probably not good forum to ask the question about their cultivating farm they're putting out.
Yeah, talk about putting me on a hot spot.
Speculate, how you what's your take on that, where it stands in the permit?
We are fortunate enough to have a member of the planning board here with us tonight. If you wouldn't mind letting him answer that question.
I'll take you out of the hot seat.
Thank you, Rick. Why don't you use it?
If you want to know what's going to happen, come to the next planning board meeting on Tuesday night, because Robert Patton will be submitting his complete plans for site plan review of the proposed commercial marijuana growing facility. So it's a complete application. It's probably several hundred pages long with drawings and specifications and all the engineering, civil engineering, site planning, landscaping, schematics, building elevations, everything that you want to know, and probably will go through 3 or 4 public hearings. So the public will have plenty of time to learn about it, what's being proposed, what it'll look like, what are the precautions that are being taken relative to security, smell, water, all the things that you would have questions about. So I don't know if that answered your question. Okay. And I think those may be online already, and if not, they will be shortly, so you can actually access them and take a look at them.
Well, I guess, anything else yet? Corinne, do you want to say anything on behalf of the Patton Homestead Board? You've been unusually quiet tonight.
You guys show. No, I think it's very exciting to see the presentation that we've all been waiting for a very long time. As I said to former Selectman Neal earlier when he was on the Board of Selectmen, I loved his quote way back then. He said he can't wait to see things happening at the homestead. And that's what we've all been working on for many years. And I got involved in this probably in 2014, maybe even 13. And we knew from day one there were 2 critical things needed for anything to happen there. 1, parking. You can't underestimate the need for a place for some cars to pull in. And that took more time than anybody thought. But finally that made it through planning board and the gravel parking lot was put in. So, you know, check on one of the major first things. And the second major thing was indeed someone to run the place. So I said to Kayleen when I first met her, if I just, you know, run up and hug her at some point, just ignore me, because we've known from day one you need someone who can dedicate time. And as everybody has seen in the short time she's been here, the amount that enthusiasm and intelligence and hard work can put in when you're focused on something. And it's got to be a huge relief to Joe to have someone with incredible capabilities and experience. And she even did some of her internship work with the Wenham Museum. So she hit the ground running with them and the archives. And you know, as Joe said, nobody else has a Patton Homestead. You know, you can travel the country and there might be a museum here or a leadership something there, but this is the Patton Homestead. And the archives being on site, now being managed by the Wenham Museum, likewise. Those family archives exist nowhere else in the country. So when we did the initial work with that Empower Success Corporation, that's one of the things they highlighted right away. What a gem. What a unique, incredible draw for a community to have. And then, you know, Joe nicely added on to it. How many communities have such an incredibly beautiful, historic 23 acres to call their own? It's really, I mean, you know, there's been other examples in town where people call things irreplaceable. And I think if there's anything in this town that's irreplaceable, that certainly is. It would be a sad day to lose any part of that. You know, and we've all been talking about the multiple audiences who will have something there for them to value. You know, I mean, in all honesty, I look at Patton Park. I've driven by it a million times. I've rarely used it. I don't have children. I don't swim. I don't play baseball. But it's embedded in our community. It's important. I don't mind paying my taxes on it. You know, when the pool was being debated, and you know, you have to sometimes pay a few tax dollars to things that maybe don't mean as much to you as it does to others. But in the broader sense of community, and the significance it has to historic preservation, as well as honoring veterans and indeed welcoming the community. This is very, very exciting to finally see some of those key elements come together. And I'm going to keep my seatbelt on when I'm around Kaylee, that's for sure. So, so thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming out and listening to us tonight. If you have any other questions, feel free to call us, myself, or Kaylee. Try to get you the answers as quickly as we can. The business plan will be on the website tomorrow. The presentation for tonight is already on the website. And hopefully HWCAM will be good enough to run this a couple times so we can get it out into the public so folks